If you're trying to win your league, you need to get the 2025 JN Fantasy Draft Playbook. Now, this playbook is loaded with information on how to win your league, including tiered rankings by positions, position-specific strategy, go over fades, sleepers, breakouts, and even things like coaching changes or fantasy playoff schedules. And the reason why this guide exists is to help you win your league. And there's a lot of draft guides that give you information, but it's not geared to helping you win your league. What you need is a guide that can help you build a winner. And that's what the Draft Playbook is here for. The JN Fantasy Draft Playbook. Get yours today. What's good? What's good? Your boy Justin Henry here, man. Live Justin Henry show. You already know what we do, man. Shout out to everybody got to the chat early, baby. We got some news today. And it sounds like there's a lot more news coming in today as well. Like we can be expecting like a lot of updates. So we'll see what happens during the course of the show. But I appreciate y'all for tapping in with me. Ready to get y'all some advice, man. We got some bigger news, I would say, today that came in. But let's get to the chat real quick, man. Say what's up. Obviously, we got news on Rashee Rice. We got news like Adam Thielen got traded. A couple of little minor notes, too. We got some MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling update. Cade Otton has a concerning update. And we also got Devon Achane with an encouraging update as well. So what's good? El Gran Santo was popping. What's popping, man? The chat was good. Silent Thief, what's good? What's good? Teddy, what's popping? What's popping? I saw y'all were in the chat early. I lost some of it, but we're going to have to catch up. Trey was good, bro. Said, doing a Superflex Dynasty startup. They let me get Jefferson, Neighbors, in London because I was waiting on QB. Damn. I feel like waiting on QB. I did the post on this with on TikTok. Waiting on QB is definitely the best. We've been talking about this, though. You got to wait on QB. You got Jefferson, London, and Neighbors? That's crazy. Cade want me to trade him Neighbors, though. Cade, you got to pay up. You got to pay up. 12-man PBR, 7th pick. You got Fields, Dak, Jacobs, Kamara, ETN, Warren, BTJ, Marv, Waddle, and Pittman, Higgins, D-Hop, Ayuk, Strange, Waller. Improvements where? So, Fields, Dak, I feel like with your running back room is solid. Wide receiver room is solid. Every time you draft, you don't need an improvement. I think you just need one of your quarterbacks to hit, and your tight end, obviously, you need Strange. You need Strange to hit in a major way. So you waited on tight end. Obviously, you're hoping on like Strange and Waller. Just being, I would be looking at like, how can I improve my my tight end? By the way, we need a Najee bet since you think he's going to take so much away from Hampton. If I lose, I'll get a Najee jersey. If you lose, you got to get a Hampton jersey down. So what does so much away from Hampton mean? Like, we could do a Najee bet, but like the bet wouldn't be, because I don't think so. Here's my thought on Najee being back week 1. This is kind of news too. Like, he's expected to be back week 1. So I think where I'm at with Najee isn't that I think he's going to be like the RB1, and I don't think like Hampton's going to be this like clear RB2. That's not what I'm saying. And I think Najee's a good back, not like, I don't think he's going to hit 1,000 yards this year, put it that way. But I do think it's going to be more like 1A, 1B than everybody thinks, and it's not going to be just Hampton taking over this backfield. Maybe we see that late, like week 14, 15, 16, something like that. Maybe we see like a changing of the guard, but I do think this will be a dual backfield. So give me what you're thinking. If you think Najee's just going to be like under 500 yards rushing, or you think he won't score like 5 touchdowns, like let me know what you're thinking. You can give me numbers, and then I'll either counter or I'll accept. Those are the two. Would you rather have Waller, Schultz, or Likely on your bench after not being able to get a Jahan late round tight end? My starter Strange. I'm cool with Brenton Strange. Just see how that works out. That Jags offense is going to be good. So I think they used him last year in really good roles, and I don't think he's going to be anything crazy. I'd say if you want upside, go with Likely, but Strange right now is the play. But Likely will come back, and there was a lot of talks about Likely having a strong season too. So thoughts on Samson, Ollie Gordon. I actually just dropped 2 videos on this. I think Tyler and I have talked about it. Laquan and I have talked about it. But Ollie Gordon, obviously, a good backup to have right now with Jalen Wright potentially missing the early part of the season. I think Devon Achane is going to get all the work he can handle, even with the calf. I think that's why they're resting him right now. They don't really need him. But I do think Ollie Gordon has a little bit of upside if he can claim this number 2 running back role. It's just, for me, I kind of think Achane's the guy still. It would take an injury. I think it would take an injury. When it happens, Ollie Gordon's going to go to space. Like, that's how it'll work. But I think for now, he's a bigger body that can take over a little bit of like the ground game, or maybe some of that, some of the red zone work, but I think for the most part, we're still going to see Devon Achane in a really nice role. And then Dylan Sampson, passing game guy, I think Jerome Ford is going to be a little bit more of a mixture. That seems like a committee with Dylan Sampson playing like the passing game role. I think it's a good spot flex value-wise, like if he can get there. I think he belongs on benches for now. We got to see what that looks like heading into the year. We do. So I do got to talk about this. Let me get into this before I get into more questions. Before I get to more questions, okay? I got to talk about it. Let me go live on TikTok too real quick. Hold on. Go live on TikTok real quick too. That way we get the best of both worlds and we can continue the discussion. This time we're going to make it sub-only though, bro. Sub-only chats, bro. Sub-only chat. All right. So when it comes to Rashee Rice, obviously it was announced today that he's getting a 6-game suspension. So we had expected him to be able to be playing the first 4 games of the year. And then the expectation was that at some point, it was like September 30th, September 27th, they were going to lay down the actual, what the ruling was. Well, we got that announcement today that Rashee Rice accepted the suspension from the NFL. That was that 6 games. I guess they met in the middle. The NFL wanted more. He wanted way less at like 3 or 4 games. They met in the middle at 6. What does this mean for our fantasy teams? So the Chiefs have a bye week 10. I want to say, let me get that right real quick. Hold on. I want to say it's week 10. Why did I feel like I knew it. Yeah, it is week 10. All right. So the Chiefs have a bye week 10. And what does that mean? It means Rashee Rice is going to miss the first 6 games of the year. He comes back week 7, week 8, week 9. And then he's on a bye. Then when you got the rest of the season, obviously 11 through the playoffs. So the fantasy playoffs start in week 15 for most teams. Sometimes it starts in 14. But you'll have them for like 6 games, 7 games, just depending on the length of your playoffs. I think Rashee Rice is less wide receiver 1 than we want to give him like credit for. I think everybody's going to think that, the minute he comes back week 7, instantly goes back into that wide receiver 1 role. I don't see it that way. I think this team has been kind of prepping for suspension with Xavier Worthy really taking on a different type of workload towards the end of last year. And then also this offseason, there's been a lot of talks about him playing in the slot, kind of assuming some of the role that Rashee Rice does. They can't really just wait for him to get back. It's like they kind of need that production, especially if they want to try some stuff downfield. A lot of the talk has been that the Chiefs are going to start operating a little bit more downfield. That's what this whole offseason has been dedicated to. So the way that I play this out is I think Rashee Rice is probably going to be like, if I'm drafting this weekend or this week, I probably would put Rashee Rice in like back in the mid-tier wide receiver 3 range. Like that's where I put him. And I think as the season goes on, he's probably going to have like wide receiver 2 value. That's what I think. I think Worthy's probably going to have wide receiver 2 value. And I think both of those guys will complement each other very well. I just think that with the emergence of Xavier Worthy, with this being Kelsey's last season, with all the weapons back for the Chiefs, you got Pacheco is back now. You got Hollywood Brown, who's healthy now and back. You drafted Jalen Royal. You signed Tyquan Thornton. It's not a big name out there, especially in fantasy, and he was a fallen name for the Patriots, Tyquan Thornton. But there's been a lot of positive stuff out of Chiefs camp, and he was a former second-round pick with size and speed, 4.2 type speed. Like, that's a piece that the Chiefs could use. So I think this Chiefs team has weapons, and I don't think this thing necessarily needs to rely on Rashee Rice, who's also not just going to be slow coming back from a suspension, but also seeing his first games since he was injured. I'm not overly concerned about the injury. Most injury doctors aren't really worried about Rashee Rice's health when it comes to being on the field. Just throwing it out there as far as a potential ramp up for a guy who hadn't played over the course of 6 weeks. So I don't know if he can practice, what that situation is. But Rashee Rice, I think this is more like if you're drafting right now, drafting more as a wide receiver 3. I think expecting wide receiver 1 numbers, especially out the gate, is kind of dumb. I think if you're going to get wide receiver 1 numbers, it's going to come either week 9 or right before their bye or just after their bye when they have a chance to implement things. Like real football-wise, teams have to adjust. They have to implement because if things are working the first 9 games of the year and Rashee Rice isn't the wide receiver 1, you better be damn sure they're going to keep things that way. The downfield passing game is working with Xavier Worthy playing that slot. You know they're going to keep things moving. So I think Rashee Rice is good. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I just don't know if we see that huge wide receiver 1 upside that we saw early last year before his injury. All right, so that's my thoughts on Rashee Rice. Great player, and I think this was actually better for him, low key. Like there was a talk that it was like 4 game he was going to be able to play, and then 6 games to 8 games to 10 games, whatever it was, he was going to be suspended. I actually kind of think this was best case scenario for him. Accept the plea deal, and best case scenario for fantasy managers, accept the plea deal, move on, start the season in week 7. So I think that was the right play for him. But overall, I think we need to pump the brakes on Rashee Rice. Yeah, he could be wide receiver 1 for your team during the fantasy playoffs. I think it's going to take a lot to get there. And you got a lot to do to get there. Because if you draft him right now, if you draft Rashee Rice right now at, in the top round, like top, round 3, round 4, thinking, okay, good. When he comes back, I'll be fine. That's a long time to go without a wide receiver 2 or 3 on your team. Like that's a long time, especially like buys start week 5 this year, week 5, right? They always start week 5 or week 6. I can't. Week 5, no, they start week 5. Buys start in week 5, and that's 2 games already. You got to work through some buys. I don't know exactly who's on buy. I can't remember who's exactly on buy during those weeks, but you got to work through those buys and then pray and hope that Rashee Rice is like dominant out the gate, which I think he should be. He should still be like wide receiver 2 worthy, but you got to hope he's like dominant out the gate now. So that's where I'm at when it comes to Rashee Rice. I like the player, still think he's good, but I think this Chiefs team can move a little bit without him. That's what I think. So when it comes to Rashee Rice, that's my thoughts. As far as Xavier Worthy, I'm very excited about Xavier Worthy. Somebody asked me recently, they said, Jahan, you've been drafting a lot of Xavier Worthy as like your 3rd in the mock drafts we've been doing. And I'm like, hell yeah, because if the suspension happens, if he does take a year 2 stride, I mean, I don't want to say like I don't think I'm not comparing it 1-to-1 to like a Tyreek Hill, but like there is a need for his speed in this offense. We saw how dynamic this offense looked with a deep threat downfield. So I think if they can use Xavier Worthy in that role just a little bit more than they did last year, they kind of gadgeted him. They used him behind the line of scrimmage, would get him on reverses. They took a couple shots, but it wasn't as many as we wanted to see. I do think Xavier Worthy now has a little bit more ceiling, especially if he does assume some of that slot role that Rashee Rice was taking on last year. So for me, I like Xavier Worthy a lot upside-wise as your wide receiver 3. I know he's going to climb up draft boards right now. Where I would rank him is probably somewhere right near that, like just outside that top 15-ish type range. That's where I think Xavier Worthy should be right now. The only thing is he's not like a big red zone guy, so we got to see what the targets look like, and you're kind of taking like a leap of faith that this team's going to invest in him the same way that they did Rashee Rice. I don't know that he can carbon copy replicate the targets, but I do think Xavier Worthy is in for like a really, really big roll out the gate, and I think they're going to try some stuff with him downfield as well. So Xavier Worthy gets a big bump up. If I was looking for a secondary, this is a plus news thing for Travis Kelce, who's in his final year as well. Like, I think this is plus news for him. If you drafted him in like that mid tight end 1 range, I think you're spot on with that. And then as far as like the secondary receiver, probably a mixed bag between Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith, Tyquan Thornton, and Jalen Royal. They already sent out Sky Moore, so you don't got to worry about him. But probably a mixed bag between those. I would want Hollywood Brown, obviously. Like, obviously you want Hollywood Brown. But then I look at those next 3, and we might get a surprise out of there. Whether it's Juju, Tyquan Thornton, or Jalen Royal, I think one of those guys might surprise us. Like, in all seriousness. I don't know that we get like this consistent wide receiver 3 or flex for our team, but it wouldn't shock me in week 1 to see like Tyquan Thornton touchdown or like Jalen Royal. I think he's actually banged up right now. I think Jalen Royal's banged up. But Juju Smith, assuming a larger role, and he's got 4 to 5, like it wouldn't shock me to see another receiver on this team have a valuable role. I'm not picking any of them up. I'm not saying to go draft them, but what I am saying is just, keep your eyes open for this Kansas City Chiefs offense. How y'all feel about that? Y'all feel like I'm wrong? I know y'all be thinking I'm wrong sometimes. Chat was good, TikTok. Was good. Shout out to everybody who joined the chat, man. We going over the kind of the updates from the preseason, offseason right now. There was a lot of cuts made yesterday. Some guys put on IR. So I'm going over some quick updates beforehand. Keaton, what's good, bro? Before I get into the next one, Cody, appreciate you, my dog. Before I get into Adam Thielen, going to go over this real quick. Keaton said, what's good, Jahan? Finished my last draft. 12-team PPR drafter at 108. All right, so you had the 108 pick. You took Achane. You got Jettas. Good. So you got Jettas, Achane, T. Higgins, Marv. I think you crushed that part of your draft. And you got Pacheco, Pearsall, Kyler, Brock Purdy. Good job, dude. You got TJ Hawkinson. Good job. 12-team. This is stacked, bro. This is stacked. So you got Jettas, Achane, T, Marv. Then you probably went, you go Pearsall, then Hawk, or Hawk, then Pearsall. Then you got Pacheco. You got Kyler. You got Purdy. You went both quarterback. I like what you did here, bro. This is a good squad, man. And to be honest, most times when I look at squads, I'm like, there's a big glaring hole. You don't really have a big glaring hole outside of like your backup running back. But if Jordan Mason hits, you smash this shit, bro. Keaton, great job, dog. Great job on the draft. That's a solid team. What do y'all think of Keaton's team, man? I think it's a solid team, bro. So you just need, obviously, you need your guys to stay healthy. You got upside, you got floor. You did great here, bro. Got a couple stacks there, too. You didn't even need to get the stacks, and you got the stacks. Great job, bro. Keaton, my dog, what do y'all think about that squad? What do you think about that squad? Clam Oyster was good. Make sure y'all get the likes up. Yeah, make sure y'all get the likes up, man. I'm going to talk Adam Thielen here in just a second. Over 4.5 touchdowns. We can rock with that. I'll rock with over. I'll take the over 4.5. Over 4.5 touchdowns for Najee. We can do that. Over 4.5 touchdowns for Najee. Number 2 pick, would you go Bijan or Lamb? Hey, y'all know me. Y'all know me. What am I going to say? 10-man PPR, we're running no tight end but extra flex. Definitely go Bijan Robinson. Like, for me, I think CeeDee Lamb's going to have a great year, but Bijan is going to have an incredible year. Incredible year. Incredible year, bro. It will be very fun to have Bijan Robinson this year. I promise y'all that. Bijan and Gibbs, both of them. It's going to be very fun to have both of those guys. Very fun to have both of those guys, man. 12-man, 11th pick. You got Knicks, London, Brian Thomas, Chase, Brown, Amarian Hampton, Laporta, Ibuka. You need receivers, bro. You got London. Oh, no, you got London and Brian Thomas. I read that wrong. These are your starters. I like this lineup, Teddy. Good job. Good job. Running backs. You need Hampton to hit, though. You need Hampton to hit. Is Dameon Pierce a good waiver wire pickup? So, big, obviously, I talked this already a few times. I've talked this on YouTube. If you're looking for in-depth stuff, go to the JHN Fantasy page. Got a lot of in-depth stuff about like Dameon Pierce that just dropped last night. And then talk Joe Mixon. So a lot of in-depth stuff that I'm dropping right now. Trying to get a lot to you guys out on the YouTube and be available as much as I can to get you guys like that, shit for your league. So as far as Dameon Pierce, though, I think he's a decent waiver wire pickup. Probably going to be the backup to start. We have Joe Mixon, obviously, on IR, or NFI, excuse me. He's on the NFI list. So the starter is going to be Nick Chubb. If Nick Chubb's good, then Dameon Pierce is probably going to be a nothing, and you're going to drop him after week 1, which is fine. But if Nick Chubb struggles out the gate and he's looking more like the Cleveland Nick Chubb, 3.5 yards a carry, which I kind of think he's probably, just based on like his injury history, he's probably that. I think Dameon Pierce might offer a little bit of juice, not just in the rushing game, but also in the passing game as well. So I think he's a decent waiver wire pickup. I think he has the edge over Woody Marks. He's listed right now number 2 on the depth chart. But a guy I faded early in his career, Dameon Pierce, some of y'all know me. I actually think he's a good pickup right now for the deeper leagues. All right, last couple more before I get into Adam Thielen. Number 2 pick, I answered that one. Any tips for drafting in a PPR salary cap league? Yes. So auction draft tips. Make sure you reach for a couple guys early. You know what I'm saying? Lock in a couple studs early on, and then hold your water, because there's a lot of value in the middle of the drafts. Everybody overpays for above average talent in auction drafts. So I think once you miss out on the studs, it's like, ooh, I kind of need that best of the rest. So you'll see guys, overpay for, like Chase Brown to go for like superstar type money because they missed on a running back. So I'd say in your salary cap leagues, get your guys early, like earlier in the drafts, and then kind of just wait and see where the value falls. I got Mixon, Pollard, Monty, ETN, wide receivers in London. Good job. I think that team is solid, bro. What do you think? Oh, what do you think on a trade for Kamara, Devontae Adams for London and Monty? Keep the Kamara and Devontae side. Devontae side. I like that side much better. I love Drake London too, but I think that Devontae Kamara side will have a lot more updates for you. Or a lot better upside for you. All right. Adam Thielen. receiver for the Carolina Panthers, was traded today back to the Minnesota Vikings, right? So for me, when I look at this move, obviously it's not unexpected, right? Like Carolina, I've talked about this already all offseason. I'm like, everybody loves Ted McMillan, Teteroa McMillan. Everybody loves Ted. T-Mac, what do we call him? I feel like Ted is just so easy. It rolls off the tongue. I know he don't want to be called Ted, but I feel like it just rolls off the tongue so much easier than T-Mac. T-Mac, I think like Terry McLaurin, Tracy McGrady. I think Tracy McGrady. Really, T-Mac is Tracy McGrady, and we're keeping it 100. But McMillan, Teteroa McMillan. We already knew that this receiving core was deep, and that was my concerns with him early on. So you also they kept Jimmy Horn on the roster, and they cut Hunter Renfrow. So they were already like 5 receivers deep, and I think they have another guy too that I'm not thinking of. So it makes sense for them to get Adam Thielen out, let the young guys develop. So you have McMillan, you got Xavier Legette, who I just dropped a post on TikTok. Xavier Legette, I'm excited about him this year. You also have Jalen Coker now, who is expected to have an expanded role, and I'm sure they want to see Jimmy Horn on the field a little bit. And that's probably why you make a move like that. Get Adam Thielen to a good spot. So for the Carolina side, it makes sense. Also for the Vikings side, right? Like, what does this mean for Adam Thielen? Those who drafted him like later rounds, maybe you're thinking you got the Carolina Panthers version. Now he's going to a really nice system for receivers for fantasy as well. Justin Jefferson is obviously on his team. He's the lead dog. TJ Hawkinson, another safety valve for rookie. Rookie, obviously second-year rookie. JJ McCarthy. But this team's without a second receiver for a minute. So Jalen Naylor is out. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out for, but I know it's going to be the first part of the season at least to start the season. And then Jordan Addison is going to miss the first 3 games. So coming into this, you got to have a receiver, a secondary receiver, somebody who can get open and create space. That's why you go get an Adam Thielen if you're the Vikings. Obviously familiar with Minnesota. The fans love him. He's a fan favorite. So you're okay with getting him for Minnesota for purposes of fantasy. I don't expect him to be anything more than a flex. Nothing more than a flex. And that's just early part of the year. He could have a spike week or 2 over the first 3 games. But once Jordan Addison gets back, it's like Thielen's probably going to be on waivers. That's who I think Adam Thielen's still a good receiver. And obviously in his career, he's had a lot of success, outplaying his ADP. We've kind of disrespected Adam Thielen. But in this role, it kind of feels like a complimentary role once all the guys are back. You're behind Jettas. You're behind Addison. You're behind TJ Hawkinson. Then you got Thielen. So that and it's JJ McCarthy, who knows what he looks like right now. So for me, that's where I got Adam Thielen. I think early on he might have some value. He'll be a quick cut, I think, as the season goes on, unless there's an injury or a setback or something happens with, another receiver on the Vikings. As far as the other Vikings players, I don't really think this affects them at all. If you're talking like Jettas, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, I don't really think this affects them in any form or fashion. Kind of opens things up for Jettas early on. Now they're not going to have coverages just rolled on to Jettas' side now. Like, it's going to be okay. We can't just scheme out, Justin Jefferson. You got to kind of respect Adam Thielen for who he is. And now you got TJ Hawkinson as well. So it's like a little bit more there. It helps out JJ McCarthy in my world. So I think for as far as this Thielen thing, it doesn't really impact none of the other Vikings receivers. Trey, you actually said, talk to my boy Coker now that Thielen's gone. I do think this is a bump up for Jalen Coker. I've already talked about how I think Xavier Legette's going to have a bigger role. And, surprisingly, fantasy-wise, Bryce Young was actually decent last year. He was a top 20 quarterback last year. So when he's been a top 25 quarterback both of the years he's been in the league so far. So that's not great, but like for as bad as he's been and like he sat out a few games, like I think Bryce Young might be better this year. I don't know if I'm like pushing him up into the top 12, 15 quarterbacks. We ain't doing nothing crazy, but I do think he has upside to be like a top 15-ish on a weekly basis. So I think Jalen Coker has some value, but he's behind McMillan. I think Xavier Legette's going to be worked in there, and there's not a lot of volume in this offense already. So I think Coker might have some wide receiver 3 flex appeal intermittently throughout the year. I'm just not looking for it. I'm not hunting it. I think in a dynasty league, it's an interesting pickup, though. All right, is there an amount you would stay under to grab Bijan in the salary cap league? Depends on your budget, right? Like you could have a $200 budget, you could have a $300 budget. Those are different. If it's a $200 budget, I'm probably staying about, I'll probably go like anywhere up to like $7 to $10 over ADP-ish type value. His ADP-ish type number. Whatever that number, probably in the 60s, I would assume, like high 60s. So I probably would go anywhere up to like maybe push 80. That's about it. That's about it. What's the differences in the different packages you offer? Honestly, bro, I got so much shit out there. I wish I could just be like, rip it off. Whatever it says in there is probably what it is, bro. I wish I got so much shit out there right now. Trying to turn this thing, man, into like, I don't know. This fantasy shit gets crazy sometimes for you, boy. I'm trying to, low key, I'm trying to just figure out what's Rashee Rice's value right now. So you get access to me. Put it this way. If you want extra access to me in the package, you're going to find a lot of extra access. On J-Hen Fantasy, if that's what you're talking about, we got the weekly note sheet. All my bets are going to be in there this year. I'm not going to hold my bets in my weekly stuff hostage. You're going to get my bets. You're going to get my weekly stuff. The note sheet will probably be dropping here tomorrow or Friday, at least the start of it. And then you'll get my weekly rankings and all that too on the J-Hen Fantasy website. So that's what it is. Everything else is like, if it's for here, TikTok or YouTube, it's just for the live sessions. I was doing some like sub-only stuff, but it's just like it's literally too much for one person right now. So 12-man super flex. You got the 108, Fields, Tua, Bryce Young. Good job on the late QBs. You got CD, Brian Thomas, and DK. Damn. Brees, Hampton, Henderson. You just need one of those. If you Henderson or Hampton hits early for you, you're straight, bro. And Brees. You need your backs to hit, but great upside here. Good job. Good job. And that's a super flex league. So you got Fields and Tua and Bryce Young to back it up. Good job. Good job. I feel like Worthy's a smash as far as another guy popping off. I could see it, but I don't know how fantasy relevant. But I think Rice is that guy when he gets back. This is an easy assumption, and I'm not mad at it. Like, he could be the guy. I just think that once you get rolling in a season, it's tough to just throw somebody in and have everything still clicking. So I think if the Chiefs are struggling, yeah, Rashee Rice is going to get more opportunity. But if this thing's clicking for Kansas City, their schedule is, let's see their schedule real quick. KC schedule. So I'm going to try to predict their record. Let's have some fun with KC. Predict their record. They got the Chargers week 1 at home. That's a dub. They got Philly week 2. I'll give Philly to win, even though they're at home. They're at home against Philly. I'll still give Philly to dub. They got at New York, the Giants. They got at the Giants. They'll smash the Giants. They got versus Baltimore. That'll be a tough game. Let's call it 2-2. Then they got at Jacksonville on Monday night. That's going to be a tough one. They should win that one still. 3-2. They got Detroit. God damn. They got the 6. They might be 3-3. They might be 3-3, bro. That's a hard-ass schedule. Outside of the Giants, you got the Chargers, division game. You got Philly, the Giants. You got Baltimore, Jacksonville, which they should be Jacksonville, but it's at home Monday night. And then you got Detroit. Yo, that's a crazy. They might be like 3-3 coming out of there with like panic setting in. And I'll put it this way. If they do figure it out, oh shit. If Kansas City is 4-2 or 5-1 after that, I mean, but then they got the Raiders, they got the Commanders at home on Monday night, and then they got at Buffalo bye week. Then you got at Denver. God damn, this is a tough ass schedule for KC, bro. I mean, they built for that though. That's what they built for. Buy 2-star players for auction leagues. I would say try at least for 1. Don't reach for 2. I would say try for 1. If you can get 2, maybe 3 at a good price. I think 3 is hard though, because 3, once you dip under 100, that's when I would wait. Once you make that initial dip into 100, that's when I would kind of wait and like pick your poison a little bit. Once you get your guy, you should be good though. But yeah, I don't know. With that schedule, maybe you're right. They come back and they're like, this offense shit ain't working. This deep ball thing ain't working. Cade Otton is also iffy for week 1. So if you were anticipating, like with Chris Godwin being out, with Jalen McMillan being out, like Cade Otton looks like he might be iffy for the early part of the season. They didn't place him on PUP or IR, but like he's kind of iffy. So Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, Bucky Irving with Rashad White hurt, those three, I don't know, Tristan Wirfs is out too for the first 4 games. Just be careful with this Bucks offense. It's getting a little thin. But Cade Otton is iffy for week 1. Bijan, your guy again this year? Yeah, I got hella posts on Bijan. He's my number 1 player this year. Bijan's my number 1 player this year. Bijan's my number 1 player again. Thoughts on D-Hop worth rostering? Great question. So DeAndre Hopkins obviously signed with the Ravens this offseason. Hasn't been a lot of talk about him. Obviously, the team has like Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. Like those are their guys in the passing game. So DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a secondary piece in this passing game. But I think he has some like touchdown upside more than anything. I could see them using him in the red zone. Now, is he worth rostering? The one question in fantasy football that I always ask, and I say, hey, if you have a player on your roster, would you start them? What's the path to starting DeAndre Hopkins is my only question. I think in best ball, he's going to have a game where he goes for 60 and a touchdown, probably a couple times this year. I think the hard part with DeAndre Hopkins is picking which of those games it happens. That's what I think. I could see them having like a deep ball to D-Hop, but like this is a Xavier Worthy. Rashad Bateman's going to get opportunity. I think like when it's all said and done, it wouldn't shock me to see like 700 yards and like 6-7 touchdowns from DeAndre Hopkins. That wouldn't shock me. What would shock me is if he's a consistent wide receiver 3 for our fantasy teams. Like I could see him having 75 and a touchdown one week, or like 5 catches for 60 yards one week, and then the very next week going like 2 catches for 20. One of the annoying players to kind of have on your team. Put it this way. It wouldn't be shocking to see him on teams at some point. I think it would be hard to see him consistently be in starting lineups. That's what I think. How about Tyreek? Where do you put him? I got Tyreek pretty high. If you haven't got the draft guide yet, it has hell of that information in it. My draft guide is loaded. It's 15% off right now. So if you can go, the draft guide's in my bio if you want to go grab it. It's on a J-Hen Fantasy site as well. But I still have Tyreek in my top 10 receivers. I'm not really worried about Tyreek, especially if he's on the field week 1. Do we buy the dip on Rashee Rice? I talked about this. Nah, this is more of like a wide receiver 3 to me. I would say this. If you've drafted 2 receivers already, I'm good with Rashee Rice. Just make sure you get another receiver, like to get you through the first 6 weeks. Worst case, like you don't want to go 2-4, 1-5 to start the year, and then just be absolutely banking on like Rashee Rice is going to save my season. What else happens in football? Like players get hurt. What happened? Like he has to ramp up. That's 6 weeks. He has to get ready for the season. What if there's an injury? What if there's like a slow start? What if he's just not in game shape yet? I'm not saying he won't be. I'm just saying like we got to play the what if game too sometimes in fantasy. But what if Rashee Rice just isn't who we expect week 1, week 2 when he comes back, week 7 and week 8 when he comes back? Like I know we see and we're like, damn, hopefully we can get like this top 5 guy. And you know, I would love for that to happen, but I just don't know that happens immediately for the teams. Like I have a few teams in best ball with Rashee Rice, and I would love for him to be 200 yards a game and 12 catches and 3 touchdowns as soon as he comes back. But a lot of times, not just for like players, but football teams need to ramp up chemistry-wise. You see that with the Bengals last year. Remember, there was all this talk about how the Bengals start slow, or how CeeDee Lamb held out and there's a slow start expected. Or we see that all the time. Like just sometimes players hold out and there's a slow start. And that's going to apply here. The team has got to figure out, okay, we have all this game plan. They can't just be like week 7, we got Rashee Rice, and now game plan goes back to a different game plan. Like it's also, there's chemistry there. So they're going to take the bye week. My assumption would be that over those first 3 weeks when he's back before the bye, they work him in. Bye week comes, they have time to like really scheme him into the system. That's what I think. From a real football perspective. Now, from a fantasy perspective, I could just be like, on a points per game basis, he was this at the top 4. Like, that'd be irresponsible of me. That'd be irresponsible. I think down the stretch, if you got like 3 or 4 wide receiver 1 weeks out of him in weeks 11 through 17, I think that'd be great. You also got to bank on the fact that you're going to be in the playoffs. But I think if you got like 3 to 4 wide receiver 1 weeks down the stretch from 11 to 17, I think that's like best case scenario. If Rashee Rice gave you 5 wide receiver 1 weeks this year, I would call that a dub. like a major dub. You know what I'm saying? Like when you really think about it, that's how you got to put it. If he gave you that kind of production, then it's a dub. He would have to do that though. Like if I drafted somebody as my wide receiver 2, like say I drafted Mike Evans and he only gave me 5 wide receiver 1 weeks out the whole year, I'd be kind of like, damn, that was a disappointment. Or even like a guy like Xavier Worthy. I'm taking him right now at the back end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3. If I only saw like 4 or 5 wide receiver 1 weeks, I'd be like, damn, that was a disappointment. Where you're drafting Rashee Rice right now, that's what you have to hope for. And I know it's consolidated in a shorter period of time, but you're still hoping for like, can he get me 4 to 5 wide receiver 1 weeks? Is Dylan Sampson a good pickup since Judkins hasn't signed? I talked about this on a show yesterday. Me and Tyler talked about. I think it's dropping in a little bit here. But Dylan Sampson, I think, is a decent pickup flex-wise. I think he's a decent pickup if you're trying to get through buys. Maybe he has a little bit of upside, right? Has a little bit of upside early on if Judkins hasn't signed. But the team also got rid of Pierre Strong, which kind of lets me know like either something's coming with Judkins that we don't know about or that they're expecting him to be there week 1 or I don't know. It just kind of is interesting they got rid of Pierre Strong, who was a depth piece for them. So Jerome Ford, Dylan Sampson probably splitting that work. I would see Dylan Sampson being more of a PPR guy, like 6 to 8 carries. And then you probably talk about, 3 to 5 targets in the passing game. So that's what I think for Dylan Sampson, which is decent flex value, I think, early on. 6'7", did I say 6'7"? 6'7", bro. That's the new era. The new era. Yo, new here. What's up, Extended Mags? What's good, bro? You said thoughts on my team: Mayfield, Barkley, Chase Brown, McConkey, Sutton, Kittle, Laporta, Texans defense, and Aubrey. I ain't gonna lie, I can kind of tell you new. I can kind of tell you new here. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Extended Mags. I think you need to stick around for a while because the team feel kind of weak. Like I'm not trying to be mean. Don't take this as like Jay-Han, you being mean. I just keep it real. So if you don't like people who keep it real, I'm probably not the right page for you. But I think this team's going to need help. I think you're great at running back and at tight end. You got Barkley, Chase Brown, Kittle, Laporta. You're great there. But you got Mayfield, who's probably underrated right now, but going to probably struggle first couple weeks without his receivers, without Tristan Wirfs. Could struggle a little bit here early on. And then your receivers, you need Lad McConkey to be like top 12, 15-ish. You need Courtland Sutton. You don't have no upside there. You got really no upside. You know what Chase Brown and Barkley are. There's really not a lot of upside where you drafted them. You drafted them round 1 and round 2. You know what Kittle and Laporta are. And you can only play one of them. There's not a whole lot of upside there. Mayfield, you kind of seen the best in Baker Mayfield. We know exactly what Courtland Sutton is. Like, we know exactly what he is. I just don't see a lot of upside. Lad McConkey's really your only upside, and with Keenan Allen there, I don't really see a whole lot of upside. So I would say on your bench, if you haven't already, I don't know what your bench looks like, grab a lot of upside options. You're going to need it in order to win a championship this year. Where do you put Cooper Kupp? I think Cooper Kupp is a wide receiver 3 and a wide receiver 4 draft spot right now. That's what I think. I think he'll be in starting lineups. The one thing I'll say is he probably don't carry as much upside as obviously he's not wide receiver 1 upside, but like I think Cooper Kupp is not washed, and I think everybody thinks he is. So you play out the slot and in this offense with Kubiak, I think he's going to get some opportunities. I've seen a few clips out of preseason, and I know it's just preseason. But they've been using him a lot in the red zone. Like I've seen a lot of shots to him in the red zone. So Cooper Kupp's an interesting pick this year. I like Cooper Kupp. I've kind of been a Cooper Kupp advocate, though, if you're new here. I've been a Cooper Kupp advocate, so to some, it just sounds like, oh, you just like Cooper Kupp. But I think at the value he's going right now, outside of top 40 receivers, there's a ton of value there. Like, literally, he's your wide receiver 4 when you draft him. Got 3 guys ahead of me in this dynasty draft. Who we like: Purdy, J.J. McCarthy, Cam Ward, Breece Hall, Bucky. I'm assuming this is super flex. AJ. Oh, no. Is this your team, Trey, or who's available? I'm confused. Is this your team? Help me out with this. Is this your team, or is this the best available? Because seeing AJ Brown in this kind of AJ Brown is kind of like talking to me right now. It depends on your goal too. Like I like to win early in Dynasty. I like to win early. So I get AJ Brown's what, 28? I get he's 28, but 27. But I like to win early. Definitely not Purdy. Definitely not Cam. If this is best available, definitely not Purdy. Definitely not Josh Jacobs. Definitely not Kenneth Walker. Those are my definitely nots. And probably not Bucky. Those are my definitely nots. Marv, a solid wide receiver 2. Absolutely. Marv has like wide receiver 1 type appeal to me. You can get him as your wide receiver 2. So I think Marv definitely is a solid wide receiver 2. He's actually, I think he's a solid wide receiver 2. He's actually somewhat risky, though, to some because of Kyler Murray. So I wouldn't say he's like a solid weekly wide receiver 2, like solid where you know it's coming. He did finish as a top 30 receiver last year. So the ascension is what puts him in that range for me, and I think he has a lot of upside for more. Carrillo, you went 3 running backs to start. Bijan, Chase Brown, and Irving. Who are your receivers? Yeah, Trey, clear this up for me real quick. Got to account for the refs. You're right about that, but I don't know. I think 3-3, 4-2 is about where I'd have them. That's a tough schedule for them, but they've had tough schedules before. I got you. Extended mags. Like I said, I got you, bro. Tap in with me, man. Tap in with me. I'll get you right this season. If you're not on the YouTube, bro, I got hella info on YouTube as well. What running backs you think that will provide good flex value with upside for bye weeks that you are eyeing in those 8 to 12 rounds? Running backs that will provide good flex value with upside. I'm trying to think of the running backs that go in that range. Is that like, are we outside of the Travis Etienne range there? I think Travis Etienne needs to be on rosters like immediately. I have a post dropping on that coming soon too. I got a lot of content to get the fuck out before the season starts, bro. It's hard because week 1 is next week. We haven't even done our draft yet. We've done only 1 draft here so far too. I'm going to do a draft tomorrow with you guys, all right? So I don't know how I'm going to give it out yet. There's a lot on the plate, bro. I'm trying to get the info out. Like I said, a lot on the plate right now. So, but I think Travis Etienne is in that range. Jordan Mason is in that range to me. Tank Bigsby is in that range as well. A little bit later, I like Trey Benson to be in this range of like high upside guys. Braylon Allen is another name I've talked a lot about in this range. It has high upside to me. So I don't know which one of those actually has the flex appeal. It's just those guys I can think of off the top of my head, running backs that I've drafted a lot of. After taking Bijan in the first, who would you grab for the second round? What pick number do you have? I don't know what pick you have. Trade Laporta for a wide receiver. Yes, got to trade Laporta. If extended mags, trade Laporta if you can, bro. Trade Laporta. You'll be fine with Andrews. You had Andrews or was it Hawkinson? I can't remember. You had Kittle. Yeah, you had Kittle. Trade Laporta. You don't need 2 tight ends. Thoughts on the 10-man, May, Bijan, Hampton, K9, Nico, Brian Thomas, Harrison, Warren. It's a good setup. I'd be curious to see what the bench looks like, but it's a great setup. I think you got good running backs. I think for a 10-team league, though, you obviously waited at quarterback and tight end. I would be curious to see where you drafted these guys because you got Bijan, then Brian Thomas, then Harrison, then Hampton. Took K9 in the 5th. Oh, no, Nico, too. Damn. Nah, you got Bijan, Nico, Brian Thomas, then Marv, then Hampton, then K9. Nah, this is good. I'd be curious to see what the rest of the team looks like. Hopefully you filled your bench out. If you filled your bench out, that team's going to be nasty. Only thing I would say is, so for 10-team league, this is my strategy in a 10-team league. If you're in a 10-team league, my strategy with a lineup like this, I would assume because Marvin Harrison is your 3rd receiver, you have Hampton and Kenneth Walker as your running back 2 or 3. I would be trying to flip Warren and another piece to go get one of the elite tight ends. I'd be trying to flip May and another piece to go get an upgrade at quarterback. That's what I'd be trying to do. Because the closer you can get to elite with though in a 10-man setup, everybody has deep teams. So basically, in a 10-team league, 8-team league, you're playing the injury game. Who stays healthy? Who has the wide receiver 1, running back 1, tight end 1, quarterback 1? So I think for you, you have a good chance at running back 1. You got a lot of upside here for wide receiver 1. I would say for quarterback 1 and tight end 1, I would be trying to trade to get an asset that's a little closer to that. You had the third pick, you got Bijan. I'd be trying to get Jonathan Taylor in the second round. If London or A.J. Brown doesn't fall to me. If it's a 12-team league. Yeah, Sutton, Pearsall, Golden, Judy, Keenan Allen. As your receivers, Sutton, Pearsall, Golden. Yeah, you're gonna be struggling at receiver, bro. But if one of them hit, you'll be fine. Carrillo, you're gonna be struggling at receiver, bro. Sutton, Pearsall. You need Pearsall to hit super early. Golden and Judy, you should be fine. Yeah, you might need to get to Flip City. Flip City. See what you can do with Pearsall and Golden and try to like level that up to one elite guy. And then just start that elite guy with Sutton, Judy, and Keenan. I think if you could flip, those are two good names to flip right now. Pearsall and Golden. I think those are two good names to like pair together and flip up. Especially ESPN, you can do 3 running backs for your first 3 picks and find good receivers in the rest of the rounds. The thing is, good receivers, what does that mean? Because we just talked about good receivers right now. Like, what does good receivers mean? You need to have some elite upside. I would say if you definitely wait on receiver, you need to have – your running backs are probably safe. If you go 3 running backs early, let's go. We in mode today, baby. Hold on. We in mode today, baby. Let's get it. So if you go 3 running backs early, it's a sound strategy, right? Like, obviously, there's a big fall off with running backs, so you're going to get – Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Kamara. You're going to get, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane, and Chase Brown. You're going to get Bucky Irving and, Saquon and Alvin Kamara. I don't know what the lineup looks like. But you have 3 strong running backs. One of them can play as your flex. In order to win, I think a lot of people are like, man, let me just get, DJ Moore or Cortland Sutton, just names they've recognized. I think in order to win in like round 4, you got to be going for the upside play. You have to. I think you need to be taking Marv if he falls to you. I think you need to be taking Xavier Worthy if he falls to you. Jamison Williams if he falls to you. You need to be getting like Calvin Ridley as your wide receiver too. You need to look for guys that have like upside, not just rookies, but like upside. Because now you have the safe players. Jonathan Taylor is very safe. Bijan Robinson is very safe. Saquon Barkley is safe. Jahmyr Gibbs is safe. I would say the one that's kind of risky is like Devon Achane, but like Derrick Henry is safe. Jonathan Taylor is safe. Josh Jacobs is safe. Shit, Chase Brown is kind of safe to me. Alvin Kamara is safe. The running backs at the top are safe. James Cook is very safe. So the way to win your league, everybody says you win with upside. It's knowing when to take that upside. Sometimes you draft floor. You have to draft floor in order to win as well. If you have all upside and you miss, you are out the playoffs. You don't even have a chance to make it. But if you draft floor with upside, it's knowing when to take it. And if you draft safe running backs, that means your receivers got to be able to outplay their ADP. Otherwise, your team's going to be the same as everybody else's. Everybody drafts at ADP, and ADP is based on Vegas numbers, what they're expecting projection-wise for players to perform like, right? That's how ADP works. We're saying, okay, I think this player can be 1,008. I think this player can be 1,110. I think this player is going to be a miss. That's where ADP shakes out. So for you to find the advantage during your draft, if you go safe early, find upside later. If you go with upside early, you take Brian Thomas and Devon Achane, and you take, the upside players early, in the middle rounds, you need to be safer. So now you're taking DeAndre Swifts and you're taking Terry McLaurin's and you're going a little bit safer. So structurally, drafting a fantasy team or even positioning a fantasy team, balance the floor with upside always. Everybody says upside wins championships. It's knowing what kind of upside to take. All right? That's some of the best draft advice I could give you right now. So going 3 receivers, it doesn't hurt, or 3 running backs off the rip, doesn't hurt you if you can go upside at the receivers. Drafting 2 receivers early, that doesn't hurt you if you go safer on the running backs out the gate. All right, going for win now, being cautious with the ages at the time. Jefferson, Neighbors, and London. God damn. Oh yeah, you already went. Yeah, you don't really need a receiver. And you have good young players right there. I would say you need more win. You need win now pieces. That's a win now build. You can win now with that. So I think Josh Jacobs was a little too low. Like he's 28. He's on the wrong side of 27. I think Henderson's interesting, Travion Henderson, but you might have to wait till the end of the year for him. You have a good base though. And then quarterback, you got Brock, McCarthy, and Ward. Just wait till the next round for one of them to fall to you. I think you'll probably get Brock later. And he's still relatively young. I think McCarthy probably has the highest upside though. And you got Jefferson, be a good stack. Gavin, what's good? He said, thoughts on team 10-man PPR, Gibbs, JT, AJ Brown, Harrison, Kittle, K1, Xavier Worthy. Great job. This is what I'm talking about right here. Gibbs and JT with AJ Brown in the third round. You got Marvin Harrison upside, Xavier Worthy upside, Cooper Kupp, Michael Pittman. You got value, both value guys. And then your running backs are Gibbs, JT, Pacheco. You did good here, bro. Justin Fields. You got upside at quarterback. Very good job, bro. This is how you draft a team right here. This is how you draft a team. Justin Fields, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor with AJ Brown, Harrison, Xavier Worthy. You got Kyler. I keep missing Kyler, George Kittle. You went tight end early, so you got elite quarterback already with K1 and Kittle. Upside for more, Fields is better. You did great. Gavin, this is a great start. I think this is a great start to the league. Good job. Good job to the league. Good job, bro. Good job. What round would you reach for Marv and JMO? Marv is a third-round pick to me. JMO is after the top 20 receivers are gone, all bets are off. Normally, I want to have my first 4 rounds done before I take JMO. I've seen him go high, like in the 4th round, but that's somebody reaching for him and somebody else will fall. I think JMO's going to have – I talked about JMO enough, but JMO's going to have a crazy year. Do a TikTok subs league since YouTube. I'm going to do a TikTok subs league. Listen, subs right now, how can I get y'all a league? Last year I put it in the post, but I think some people sniped it. I tried to make it like a sub-only post, but I think some people sniped it. Let me see if I can make it a sub-only post. So subs, you're going to have a chance to get a league with me. I'm going to do that. I'm making a sub-only post. I'm going to make the video like 30 seconds, and I'm going to put the link at the end of that video because I don't know how sub-only content comes up on TikTok. I'll drop that post right after this video. So if you're watching right now and you're a sub, I will drop that. We'll do a TikTok-only league and draft that either Thursday or maybe this weekend. Or maybe next week, early next week. Maybe. It'll probably be tomorrow. I'm going to try to do a lot of drafts and shit tomorrow. But TikTok-only league coming up. My bench, oh boy, I did bad. Hollywood, Josh Downs, Leggett, Purdy, Tillman, Tracy. Yeah, you got some work to do, bro, but stick around, bro. We'll get you right. We'll get you right. And I don't think you're that far off. You got to get active. So if you ever have a bad draft or a draft you don't feel confident in, get active. And what I mean by that is trades are going to be your best friend. Sending them out and sometimes losing a deal will actually help you. Losing a trade will help you. I promise you. I promise you. We're going to get you right, bro. We're going to get you right. You got Mayfield and Purdy. Like one of them quarterbacks has got to go with the receiver, with one of your upside receivers. So like Josh Downs and a quarterback got to go for like a slightly better receiver. We'll get you right, bro. I'll get you right. If Ollie Gordon hits, he's got to go. Got to go. Got to go. Like we'll get you right, bro. I promise. We'll get you right. We'll get you right. What round would you try to snag Rashee Rice? So I talked about Rashee Rice at the top of the show. I'll go into it one more time. I think Rashee Rice belongs with the wide receiver 3s. I think he's a very risky wide receiver 3 because the payoff, it starts week 7. The team has a week 10 bye. So in order to reach the maximum potential with Rashee Rice, it's probably going to be after week 11, which you have 4 weeks until fantasy playoffs. Week 11, 12, 13, and 14. So in order to see that payoff, you have to wait a long time. And if you take him as your wide receiver 2, I think that's a long wait. Oh, I didn't even touch on this. Not only do you have to wait on Rashee Rice, if you're in a league with 5 or 6 bench spots, you have to eat that spot now. You can't just put him in the IR in most leagues. I think in some leagues you can. But now you got to eat that bench spot as well. So especially in thinner leagues, that's going to be a very tough hold for teams. And you got to hope you're like sitting at 3 wins, at least 2 wins. If you're 1-5, 0-6, which if you take him in the 4th, 3rd round, you're going to be hurting. I think that's a tough thing to do is to grab Rashee Rice like super early, I would say. Like I think he's more wide receiver 3. I have draft Monday, 12 man, 2 receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flex, 1 tight end, 1 solid running backs in the first 6 rounds, or grab another late. How'd you draft? El Gran Santo, try to grab 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds, at least. Try to grab 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds. And I would make an emphasis to get one early. Like at least 1, probably 2 early. Like in the first 3 rounds, I'd be trying to get at least 2. In 2 receiver leagues, you need to focus a little bit more on the running back because they're going to have more upside overall. And with injuries to the running back position, it's more valuable when you have like an elite running back. Devonta Waddle, Olave Garrett, Few Falls, Odunze Williams, Coleman, Pittman. Not sure what this was on. Balance and a ton of upside floor, yes. You got to balance. You have to balance your lineups, bro. I felt like that was, I gotta make sure I talk more strategy. It's just, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, like strategy stuff doesn't always do well on the algorithm, or is it you guys don't want to hear it? You know what I'm saying? Like strategy stuff, sometimes it don't do it. Like I drop it anyway just because I like talking strategy, fantasy football strategy. I feel like that's an element that doesn't get covered enough. Everybody tells you who to pick up and who to draft, and top 5 did this, and top 3 did this, and these are the top 12, blah, blah, blah. But not enough creators talk about strategy. And I feel like strategy is how you win your championship, and not everybody understands strategy. So, I don't know. I feel like I need to talk that more. It's just, it don't really do well algorithm-wise, which, the algorithm tells you what people want to watch. Garrett Wilson have wide receiver 1 upside? Absolutely. He has being a wide receiver 1 upside. I don't think he has the wide receiver 1 upside because I don't see the touchdowns. Are you taking questions? Phil, go right ahead, bro. Go right ahead. Pittman or Ibuka? Ibuka. But I think Pittman's right there. Who we choosing with the 8th pick? Genty, Brian Thomas, or Neighbors? Give me Brian Thomas. Definitely not Genty. Definitely not Genty. Brian Thomas. Had an awful draft, messed up expecting goes to stay around their ADP, but it was chaos. Oh, guys, I'm expecting guys to stay around their ADP. You had JD, Bijan, Brees, ETN, Pollard, Jason, Sutton, Diggs, my main guys. Yeah, I feel like your receivers are weak, and I don't know who your tight end is, but it's not bad. You can rebound from this. You went 4 running backs in the first 7 rounds. You drafted Jaden Daniels. That's the only thing when you go like super running back and then you draft a quarterback or tight end is like you do get kind of fucked when it comes to the receivers. But I think if Diggs is all right, you'll be safe here. You'll be good here. You do need some more upside. You need Bijan to hit in a major way. Wish I had time for another league. Was good. Matt, what's good, my man? What's good, bro? What's good? Shout out to y'all in the chat, man. Hey, running it up for the guy, bro. I'm about to answer a few more. If you guys want any updates before I get off here, let me know. I'm going to hang out for a little bit longer. But if you guys need more updates, I can go over these again if you want. If you need a draft guide, 15% off. Also, we'll start having premium content on Jahan Fantasy as soon as this weekend. You'll see a lot more articles, my weekly note sheet, weekly rankings, and my bets. My week 1 bets. I'm going to try to get some more season-long bets in before the season starts. I put the Bijan Robinson one up. I have like 15 bets that I want to. I gotta have time to get all that shit uploaded, bro. And in the videos, and then you know what I'm saying, the live sessions. You will see me this year on Bleacher Report all season long, and you'll also see me doing some stuff collabing with Yahoo this year for fantasy football stuff too. So you guys will see me all over the place. And I will be announcing something right before the season starts. I have a major announcement about where else you'll be seeing me. I'll be a major announcement next week. Major announcement. Would you be comfortable with the Bijan and Kyren as your first picks? No, I would want Kyren as my 3rd pick. I would be, you know what? I would be comfortable. It's just I would then be like, in my 3rd pick, I would definitely be chasing like upside. I'd be going for like a T. Higgins type of upside. You know what I'm saying? Instead of playing a little safer, I would be like, okay, cool. Now I need to take T. Higgins in case he's healthy all year. Now I can play with the upside because you have such good floor. I don't think it's bad to take Kyren if like Jonathan Taylor's gone, Josh Jacobs is gone, and you want him over like Chase Brown and Bucky. I actually have no problem taking Kyren there. I just would really want like T. Higgins or Marv, maybe Garrett Wilson in that range. I would want like super upside to like be a top 5 receiver. That's how I play it. Keep my team for now. See later on who I need. I'll be here. Got you, bro. Got you. Those receivers are for the picking 3 running backs with your first picks. Oh, you're saying that's the best of the rest? Yeah. And then so that's your 1. It's like Devontae or Waddle. And then your 2 is like Odunze, Coleman, William. Oh my God. Garrett Wilson may fall. Yeah. You gotta hope for like Garrett Wilson or Marv or something, bro, to fall to you in the 4th. That's the only thing about 3 running backs back to back to back. It's tough to ignore a position like that. 0 wide receiver is kind of hard, bro. I feel like you miss out on the upside. Like then you have to like take the riskier upside, the JMO, the Worthy. You got to like take the riskier upside. All right. You think Lamar or Allen work in the 2nd round? Hell no. Hell no. There's so much value in the 2nd, 3rd rounds right now. It's tough to take a quarterback there. I just don't see a reason to take Lamar, Allen, because then, to be honest, like the difference between him and like a Hurts offers similar weekly upside. Or, even Jaden Daniels offers similar weekly upside. Joe Burrow offers similar weekly upside. Like, it's just, I don't really see a need for that, man. Maybe you'll miss out on like the 50-point games from Lamar and Allen, but like on a weekly basis, it doesn't make sense. Had my first ever draft in the 1. I think I preferred mid-round. I have another one tomorrow. I got one again. Any tips? I've talked a lot about drafting for the 1, especially if you get Bijan. What kind of questions do you have? Because I think tips-wise, especially with the 1, you have to wrap around. So I would say make sure positionally you get what you need before that 2nd pick. So like if there's a chance on an elite tight end in that 4th round, 5th round, definitely grab one. If in the 2nd, 3rd round, if you feel like I got Bijan and you can get 2 elite receivers, do that. You know what I'm saying? And then the only thing is the running backs, when you get back to the end of the 4th round, the running backs kind of die off. You really have like Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, James Conner, Chuba Hubbard. So I would want to get another running back and a receiver at the 2-3 turn. And then if Kittle for some reason falls to you in the 4th, grab him and a receiver. Other than that, you're going to grab 2 receivers, go upside receivers, because chances are you're going to get like safe players with those top 3 picks. Where do you put Garrett Wilson? Does he have wide receiver 1 upside? I just talked about that. I think he could be a wide receiver 1. I don't see him hitting the wide receiver 1 because he won't get enough touchdowns. Quick question, bro. Is it better to take a tight end or take out a tight end and add a flex or no? You're talking about like as commissioner? As a commissioner, I think I would leave tight end and just add another flex anyway. I think having tight end matters in fantasy. Like I feel like there's enough value there at the position. So I wouldn't take it out. I would just add another flex in a 10-team league. Definitely add another flex. I don't think I would take the tight end out, though. Rate the lineup, 10-man league. I'm going to be 1,000% with you. 1,000% with you, bro. If I rate your team, it's probably going to be an 8 out of 10 to an 8.5 out of 10. Unless it's just ass or you're drafting and you know your team is good, then it'll be high. If you know your team is good, it's going to be 8.5. If you haven't been following me for a while, or maybe this is you're new, it'll be under 8. But if you've been rocking with me and you kind of like most drafts, I know they give out draft grades like A+, B-, C-. Like them sites, they're off because it's the beginning of the season. Nothing's happened. Everybody's happy with their teams. You drafted a complete lineup with the players that you wanted to draft, with everybody like ready to go. There's no buys. So everybody thinks their team is great. It's full of everybody you like. I drafted this guy because I think he has upside. Like, so no matter what I tell you, it's probably going to be somewhere between an 8 and a 10, and nobody really has holes yet unless you just missed in the draft, which you know. Chances are if you had a bad draft, you know. So, and I think in a 10-man league especially, everybody has stacked rosters. So I think in a 12-team league, everybody has at least one flaw. And I think in 10-team leagues, especially shallow 10-team leagues, everybody has stacked rosters except for like 2 teams. Thoughts on Khalil Shakir? Good question. He's actually going to be banged up for a while. So I think he might be slow to start the year. I think I just dropped a post. I love Keon Coleman, bro. I love Keon Coleman this year. I think Keon Coleman, I think Keon, there's too many guys to be like, he got top 25 upside. But like, I think Keon Coleman's going to be, I think he's going to be there, bro. I really think Keon Coleman's about, like, I talked about Keon Coleman a lot recently. I put him in the draft guide. He's like one of my favorite players to get in that range. It's tough because he goes like right around Michael Pittman. So I try to get Pittman a little earlier, and then I draft Keon Coleman later. And he also goes around like some of those back-end tight ends like Mark Andrews, Tyler Warren. So if I missed on tight end, sometimes I don't get Keon Coleman. But I really, really think Keon Coleman is about to be like at least high-end wide receiver 3 this year. What are your top 10 picks for the first rounds? You got to get my draft guide, homie. Or go to the website, jhenfantasy.com. Go to jhenfantasy.com, and you'll see all my rankings. I have my rankings up, my current rankings. If you need more rankings, it's in the draft guide. Draft guide is 50. I think you would do well with the draft guide, bro. My top 10 picks. They're all in there. And I got tiers. I got tiers in there, player breakdowns. There's a ton of information in my draft guide. A ton. A ton. 10-team league, you got Dak, T-Law, Derrick Henry, JT, Travion Henderson, CD, Marv, Garrett Wilson. Good job. I think it's a great team. Stacked with depth. Good job. Jose, I think you did good here. Waited on QB. Waited on tight end. The blueprint. This is a great team. Good job. Is Thornton a stash from KC? Now, I've talked about Thornton a couple times already. I don't know he's a stash. And nor do I think he has fantasy value maybe the whole year. I just think he's intriguing because KC could have easily got rid of Tyquan Thornton. Easily. Very easily. But there's been a lot of talks that he's like making the wide receiver room uncomfortable there. Like having a lot of value. I don't know. I don't want to go as far as stash. I do think in Dynasty he's intriguing. I think in like if I was in a 32-man league, for sure I'd be grabbing Tyquan Thornton. 16-team league, deep leagues, I don't know you need to quite grab him yet. Still. Maybe 16-team leagues. That's about where I would start to think of it. After the top 3 running backs are gone, who are your next 3 in order? Damn, y'all trying to get the rankings? I've literally talked about a lot of these players like Achane, CMC, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor on my page a lot. If you're brand new here, which, you know, if you probably don't know my guys, you probably are brand new. Head over to the YouTube. I have a lot of individual breakdowns on players. We've done a lot of mock drafts. I talk a lot about these players specifically, like Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor. I think I even have my top 12 running backs as a post. I want to say I have that even as a post. Maybe I don't yet, but yeah. And then if you want free rankings, jhenfantasy.com. It's in my bio. And then if you want a draft guide, it's 15% off right now. You can get it. There's a starter kit too. The updates with the draft guide automatically come when you download it. You get any update I've had so far. The weekly updates is going to be a separate package. It's all for the draft. I've done 2 different updates for it. Those are both already included with the draft guide purchase. Who would you take at the 9-10 spot in round 1? Brian Thomas, I love the upside there. How do you go about getting the draft guide? When I downloaded it, it was still the first version. So there should have been like another attachment for the rankings and for the updates. So you should have got that. If you downloaded the draft guide after week 1 of the preseason, the draft guide looks very similar anyway. All right, y'all. Hey, I'm about to get out of here. I got to get going. But I will see you guys very soon. I'll be back on a little bit later today. Peace out.